Welcome to Hard Boiled, the podcast that plunges into the wild world of event planning. Get ready to uncover the secrets behind crafting unforgettable experiences. Hear some fun inside stories as we explore the heart and soul of event planning with luxury planning guru, Louis Avanti. This is gonna be a fun ride.
Here we are, another episode of Hard Boiled. I have with me today as my guest, my very good friend and extremely talented videographer, actually extremely talented artist all around, but I know him as a videographer. I'm doing some photography and of course comes from a background of music, etc. We'll get into that a little later on in the podcast. Alex Hopkins. Hello, Alex.
Hello, Louis. Hello to all the hard-boiled viewers. Thank you for having me, mate. This was, we've been talking about this for a few weeks, so I'm glad we could do it.
Definitely always excited to have Alex on. I know we're going to have a few laps today and definitely talk about a few things and get involved in some details and some ideology that we differ on, which is great. I come from a background of videography, so it's always fun to talk about, a craft that I feel, that I felt, and that I currently and very passionate about overall when I talk about videography and coverage and what I feel about coverage today as opposed to coverage in the past, and et cetera, et cetera. I was actually having this conversation yesterday with Julian Rabbinic.
I love Julian.
Photographer. Yeah.
I love
so
Julian.
And I had lunch yesterday, and this conversation came up, and I probably was a little overzealous about it, but I told him I was going to be on the podcast with you today.
What you overzealous about talking about video and coverage? I mean, seriously, every wedding you're like, Alex, why are you doing it this? Why you need 3 shots? You just need 1 shot, Alex.
Exactly. Well, when I walked away from the video world, and I don't want to make this about me, but when I walked away from the video world, I never looked back. And I, even when I have videographers come and shoot today, apart from Alex that he's my friend, I tend to not even look at them. I really don't care what they're doing, how they do it. They're like just peripheral vision, right? They're in the background. I know they're doing their job. Obviously, If they do something wrong, I'm not gonna make them miss anything. But at the end of the day, I'm not concerned about what they're doing and how they're doing it, how they're shooting, the equipment they're using, the lighting they're using. I have 200 other things in my mind that are way more important in regard to the event. But with Alex, I take a little bit more concern, a little bit more. Well, Alex is very hard to miss as well, because Alex is not a little, lack of a better word, not extreme, but definitely
as reserved in the background.
He definitely makes his presence known at an event. So, so we talk about on the consumer end here for people that are listening to this, sure. Brides. Obviously, there is a lot of controversy today between videography and content creators. So I've been running into this situation now for a few months, where I have a client that says, well, I have my videographer and I love them, but I need a content creator as well, right? Mm-hmm. The event that I did this week I did an event this weekend in the city, 4 content creators showed up.
Hold on. Can I make a qualification to that?
Yeah.
You have those 4 content creators, and then every makeup artist, every hairstylist, every planner, every decor person thinks they're also a social content creator on every job now too. So you have about 15 of them.
No, but these people were actually paid just to create content.
No, I know, but I'm just also pointing out that everyone on a job now, not just the people paid to do it, people paid to do other things are spending their time creating content on jobs too.
Listen. I think that's different, because I think that a makeup artist is shooting stuff for her reel, for her Instagram, because obviously if you're not qualified in Instagram, you're nobody anymore, which is another scary topic we'll have some other day.
I totally get it, Louis. And it's not a criticism. It's just an observation how crazy that's become. And I totally get the thing about social, like the content and vendors doing that during certain times. So when it's all day, I totally get it when you finished your makeup job, but do you really need to be shooting a first look? Does there need to be 20 people on their phones shooting an intimate moment? So, it's interesting you bring this up, but let's tie it back into what you were saying.
Everyone is afraid of not having the right coverage and not being out there. Even 100%. 5 years ago, it was okay if I tagged you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We did this event in New York City, videography, Alex Hopkins Entertainment, done. And we're finished, right?
Well, Alex Hopkins Studios now, Louis. We've grown.
Exactly. So, weddings, studios, Alex Hopkins, whatever, AH, right? So Alex Hopkins, that was enough back then. Oh, you tagged me, great. Now Alex
Yeah.
Hopkins has its own. So I had a content creator that I actually brought in because we're doing the podcast and doing some, some work on TikTok. Two, you had a content creator that came in from the caterer. I saw this girl shooting food, and I'm saying, "Sorry, who are you?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm the content creator for the caterer." I said, "You have the caterer as a content creator? Makes no sense." Um, she did actually send me some nice stuff to use, but then a content creator that came in from the venue, a content creator came in from the band, two actually, one for the DJ and one from the band. So I had all these people shooting for the purpose of creating content, where honestly, in a perfect world, the videographer can say, "I make this footage available," and you can use it, right? So I'm on the fence here of what I think is going to be important. Is it important for you to have a content creator as a bride to come in, shoot a reel, put it together right away so you can put it on Instagram the very, very next morning?
What do you mean the very next morning? What about the very next minute, mate? At times.
Right. Is that important to you? Right. Is this so important to you? Is the world going to come apart if you don't have a content creator putting this together for you? It's like so strange. And by the way, excuse me, and the event designer, the florist that we hired also had a content creator. So, which is like,
So I think it's a twofold question. I think it's actually there's a part that we haven't touched on. I think the second part is that part. The first part, you're the planner. You got the planner and the client, right? Sort of at the top of the event tree, right? Right. So here's my question. Do these people ask you whether that's okay? Do they clear that with the client?
Okay, so
is it in their contracts? And I think that's an important question.
No, it's an important question because, coming from a world of photography and videography, one of the clauses in the contract clearly states that we are the exclusive videographer and photographers. No one else can be there.
I have that in all my contracts, but I don't enforce it.
But
I'm going to make enemies?
But no one enforces it because it's becoming like an extraneous thing, right? It's becoming like, oh, but I need a content creator. I mean, what are you talking about? And it's like you cannot bring additional food into a venue that already makes food because they make the food, right? So I can't just decide that I'm at an event space and I have a venue that does food, and all of a sudden at 10 o'clock at night I start bringing hot dog carts in and halal carts, and a kid, what's this? And I say, oh, that's my food that I brought in. Well, you can't do that. Well, I just did. So content creation does the same exact thing. And
100%. And then theoretically now you've got another 300 guests that walk out in front of the aisle thinking that they're like, I think it's become I don't know if it's an epidemic, a pandemic, but I think we're at the point now that we, before we get on the second part, well, actually, let's finish the first part. Like, how do you feel as a planner or as a client representative, having all these people just on their own volition using an event?
I think the first thing I would like to know.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's kind of strange that people just arbitrarily decide to bring someone in. Look, and I have to say the people that came this week were, properly dressed.
Sure.
But sometimes they're not. They're coming in like, a girl came in this summer with like open toe sandals, and she had like this long, like, kind of peasant dress on, and the hair in a big mess. And she's creating content like she's invisible because she's an artist. Right. And I'm saying, this is ridiculous. It's a black tie event. Who are you? Right. And listen, I talk to clients all the time, and I can't fight things all the time, right? So if they want a content creator, I'd like to know who the content creator, maybe hire the content creator, set some guidelines for the content creator. But most of the time, Alex, I tell them, you don't need a content creator if you have a great videographer. Because if you're looking just for a reel to put on Instagram, just contract it with the videographer. He has the best content anyway, because this is what he does for a living. Well, and you got to see the pricing of these content creators. I met a DJ.
It's great, dude. Meetings. Some of it's half of what I do. But let's take a step back.
Dude, I don't even know what you're talking about. They charge $50 an hour.
So hold on, but let's take one step back though, Lewis. When you said, so we're now on to why would you have one if you had the other? But let's take one step back. I totally get it when there is a content creator, and I actually have my thoughts on this, and in some ways I don't actually, and I kind of get it. But my issue, to take a step back, was really just to put a little bow on what we were talking about, is if every vendor now is a content creator, if I'm paying, and we do high-end events, you do beautiful events, at what point are the clients going to start turning around going, I'm paying you to focus on the floral? I have had multiple situations where we're outside doing a first look, one of the most beautiful moments of the day, especially for video, I think even more than photo. And the makeup artists and the hair are on their phones filming for their content, and the bride has hair all over her face as she's walking out. And I'm sitting there going, I will give you whatever you like. Just contact me, but please, I can't go and fix her hair. That's not my job. My job is actually to get this moment. So I feel like at some point, is there going to be a revolt by the client, especially spending hundreds of thousands on a wedding, going, even when I shoot decor, you know me, I'm a big fan of honoring the designer, of honoring the planner and the vision.
Of course.
And I have to sometimes be a monster. And I hate it. Look, Lewis, I'm a sweet little Australian boy. I'm happy. But I have to go, guys, can you just give us 5 minutes? And it's not the staff sometimes. It's the event designers with all their phones and the DJ shooting the tables. And I'm like, guys, you can do that later. Please, we have a 7-minute window to get this in 4K beautifully.
It's very extreme. It's very extreme. But, right. But I'm talking about the people that actually get paid.
Well, sure.
Separately.
So that's why I was just saying it too.
I can't stop a vendor from taping what they want to tape, and you can definitely throw them out of the room, and so will I. But the people that are getting paid to do what already exists that you're paying for, to me, at this point gets very ridiculous. I got about 3 different sets of video from my event this weekend, and they're all the same. Because let's face it, the same room, same flowers, same field.
And let's be honest, there's a limit.
Nothing is better than the other. They're all exactly the same.
And
why does the caterer have the content creator shoot the clients dancing? Why does the caterer have the band performing? Why does the caterer need content of all these details while they're basically serving food, right? And listen, and this is another point of contention, right? Is it proper for the caterer? I'm not talking about my caterer this weekend, which I love, but in general, it's not a negative issue on anyone. It's just the way the business is.
By the way, Lewis, can we clarify? Nearly all these people we're talking about, any makeup artist I'm referring to, or hair, I love them. They're amazing. This isn't a personal,
no, it's not
shouldn't be doing it. It's a discussion, whether or not have we gone too far.
I'm saying, look, if I'm attending a wedding, and now I have the videographers over there shooting, and now I'm sticking a kebab or a piece of sushi in my mouth. And I got this girl filming me doing this. Do I really want to appear on someone's publicity page stuffing my mouth with sushi?
Nope.
Do they have the right to use my likeness now to sell their product? Do they have the right to, I understand shooting stations, shooting food as a demo to show your clients the displays that you create, with beautiful care. But is it right to shoot people, to shoot dancing, to shoot entertainment, to embellish this feel of the wedding just to sell food?
So hold on, can I give you a perfect example? So I actually shot photo. I shot a big bar mitzvah photo in Westchester last Saturday. The venue, not hired by the client. The client didn't hire video. It was a photo job. The venue had a social person with a huge panel light filming everything on the dance floor. And I sat there going, and she's in my photos. And I was very respectful. I like the venue. They're nice people. And I didn't want to cause it, but I was like, this is insane. They are using this party as advertising. And this particular venue that will remain nameless wrote me yesterday saying, by the way, can you email us all the photos of the venue that we can use for advertising? This venue has never got me a job. They've never recommended me. Now, here's the thing. I actually would send them a couple of photos to be part of the industry and to help them. But I don't know if I want to now because they had someone in our way the entire time on Saturday. And that's what I'm saying. At what point?
Because they're not thinking, right?
But isn't it about the client?
Somebody told the venue owner that if he doesn't start going on social media and promoting his venue,
sure,
that his business is going to drop because some other venues are doing the same thing. This is exactly what happened, right? Obviously, I can predict this and I can definitely, assume this without any guilt. And he hired someone and they call the photographer, get pictures right away. Come on, we got to advertise it without caring about, what the reciprocity is on your side. They say,
But
listen,
I'm
we'd
not.
love to recommend you. The pictures are great. Can you send us some photos so we can work together? It's just a give me situation, right? But
Sure, but I'm not even
listen,
talking about my
I
side.
get where you're
I'm
coming
talking
from.
about how the optics for the client. Like, I think the crux of this real question, this first part of the question,
Well, the
Lewis, I
client
know
should
we're
have been
still on.
made aware that it's going to be walking around with the big light on the dance floor shooting for the actual venue. And they should really make the case. This is a good conversation. The case whether I really want you to advertise my party. You know,
Here's my question, Lewis.
here's the
Doesn't
venue.
this first part of the question comes down to this specific question? At what point have we stopped as vendors serving the client, and are we now using their event to serve ourselves and our future events? And I do really passionately
It's a
believe,
very, very, very good question, Alex,
and
right?
I
At what
feel, and in
point?
my heart, and you know we've talked about this, in my heart, I think we should all just
Yeah,
do our jobs and let our work speak for ourselves. Now, it's no vendor's fault, because what you said at the start of this conversation was
right.
perfect. We are all scared, and every vendor's scared that they're going to be lost in the milieu, to use a fancy word, of all the
No,
bullshit
no,
of the
they're in the
business.
milieu of not having the footage everybody else has, right?
But at what point, and who is the person that's going to steer us back to 100% client service and the jobs we're hired to do? Or are
But
we lost
Alex, look
forever?
at this, right? Look at this. The venue now is taping kids dancing on the dance floor, right?
Yeah,
That now becomes part of social media.
yeah.
They grab the kids dancing on the dance floor.
It looks like
A,
shit too.
content, a
It's
content
awful.
creator, a content creator in Singapore is going to be able to have access to that footage. And he wants to show an American party, and he's able to grab kids dancing on the dance floor, right?
Yeah.
And this is going to go because you know the scary part about the internet, and there's many scary parts, but one of the scary parts is that it doesn't go away. It's not like you
Nope.
can pull it and it disappears. It's always going to live somewhere
Yeah.
out there, right? Is that right? Is that the right thing to do? Is that we're so concerned about privacy? Is that really really offensive in a way? I mean, you can't stop your friends from taping. We had a celebrity entertainer on Saturday, right?
Hmm.
And the manager in the room, the videographer kindly asked the manager if we can film the celebrity.
Hmm.
So the manager looked at me. She goes, "Absolutely not."
Hmm.
So I said, "Okay, what's going to happen to all the people with their phones? Are we going to make an announcement that nobody can tape this
That's a really good
singing?"
point.
And
Yep.
she looked at me, and then the singer looked over at me, and he goes, like, whatever, it doesn't make a difference now. I mean,
And it's
because,
funny.
well, how are you
It's
going to
funny that
fight this?
the celebrity is funny. So I shot a party for a governor in New Jersey, and it's a long time ago, so I can probably say it now. And Sammy Hagar, they flew Sammy Hagar in from Van Halen, and I wasn't allowed to record his audio. Maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing, but he was a legend. So his manager's like, "You can't do this, you can't do that." And Sammy came over literally to me and go, "Mate, the clients pay me to be here. The managers are protected, but those celebrity clients." But I think, and the artists care less because they know they're going to be out there anyway. But I
Yeah, the
definitely
artist
think
doesn't
that,
care. The artist is probably saying, yeah, great, do it.
we did a bar mitzvah with 50 Cent. I mean, like we could
Yes,
publicize that, and it's good to show that. But I agree.
right.
At where do we stop with privacy now? But I just love to return to that. I think just maybe this is part of an edit, but I just want to just put it on the record to say I'm just a video guy. I'm there to tell you stories, and I am part of a vendor team. And I just think I felt the longer, in the last 5 years especially, I think we've started to lose track of the real core of what our responsibility is, and that is to the client and the event first, not our
Right,
own
but what do we
promotion.
take away from this conversation? That I think people have to be more understanding and diligent on who's actually filming their event and what are they doing with it. I mean, content creators, obviously they're not bound to the client. That footage doesn't go to the client. I don't think they have disclosures where they're not going to sell this footage or use it for
Sure.
anything else, right? But they have access to like some really, really beautiful high-end weddings. If I do a wedding, let's say at the Plaza Hotel, at the Pierre, at the, wherever I do it at Cipriani, and use the beautiful lighting in the room to advertise something that I put together, it's not even mine.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even mine to use, yet I am using it because I had access because some bride hired me for $200 to stay there for a few hours. Now I have access to all this, file footage, all this material, all this stuff that I really can't, not supposed to be.
I agree with that. Now, and to move on to part two, because I don't want to just go around in circles with that thing about our client responsibility. But what you're saying, so from a video perspective, content creators. So we did one for Ruthie a couple of weeks ago. Ruthie called me. I actually went and found one to help her out. because I kind of believe in it. As long as they know that they're not there, I know, and we will disagree on this. I don't agree with all the vendors doing it. I kind of do see the benefit of a content creator. More importantly, I see the benefit of a content creator when they actually have the bride's phone and they record on the bride's phone. So then she has everything throughout the day. Like, I love that.
I never even thought of that concept, but yes.
Oh, I know. So the first social person I worked with, she made sure the phone was good enough. But we did a wedding, I think Crystal Plaza. This content creator filmed on the bride's phone. So the bride didn't have to worry about her phone and capturing stuff all day. And so the bride had everything to go through, all the stuff. And the content creator worked with the bride on her phone. Now,
Well, she didn't create content then. The content creator did not create content. She just shot footage.
No, she had the bride's
See
Instagram
content
account.
creation as that. I see content creation as creating a reel or actually putting some music to it. And
So don't get me wrong. She shot on the bride's phone and then she airdropped all that stuff to then edit later. But it served multiple purposes. The bride had all the footage.
Right. Yeah, that's it's just you're just losing a step, Alex. You eventually can do that as well, right?
Sure, but I've seen the reels.
Like, I don't take advantage of that, or whatever. But yeah.
Sure. I mean, I can't with all the footage that we take in a day, and especially not shot in vertical, we can't do the turnaround that a social media person that can do. I kind of get it for the cute prep, for the giggles, and even shooting the behind the scenes of the photo and video doing stuff. So I've worked with some great content creators that do that don't get in the way. And I see the immediacy. I've given up fighting it.
Listen, I see the immediacy, but who's the immediacy for? So if the wedding takes place on Saturday, right? Sunday comes, that was yesterday. Yep. Monday comes, that was 2 days ago. Tuesday comes, 3 days ago. By Wednesday, we forgot about the wedding on Saturday, okay? Now, who's the content that has to go up on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook? What is the urgency if that wedding appears on Sunday or appears on Monday or appears 2 weeks from the wedding date, right? Is the urgency that, oh my God, if I don't put it up on my Instagram by Tuesday, I'm dead.
It's just not true. It's a fallacy.
Isn't it kind of nicer to put it up like 2 weeks later and relive the wedding?
100%. Or put it up on your anniversary a year later. Guys, remember last year when we were...
And do people actually think that people care that much?
They don't. And Lewis, can I tell you something funny?
We have this conversation all the time, right?
Yeah.
About every vendor that I've had on the show. What do people care about? Do people care about that much? Listen, let's go back to videography for a second. When I was in the video world, one of the things that I disliked about videography, and this is going to transmute into the content creation as well. The average, and I don't know if you even know this, right? The average amount of people actually watching the wedding video is 13. That's how many people are watching the film. So the film that takes you hours to create, hours to shoot, hours to conceive, all the time of the wedding day, all the effort, all the music is literally watched by an average of 13 people. In today's world, probably less.
Now, I think less.
Now, 13 people are watching the film. If, I don't know, let's pick a great movie out there. I don't know. I don't want to do a gangster film. Let's say Titanic, right?
Mm-hmm.
If 13 people watch Titanic, 10 are going to love it. 2 are going to hate it. And 1's going to be indifferent. And the same thing sort of happens to wedding videography. 10 are going to love it, 2 are going to hate it, and 1 is going to say whatever. Doesn't make a difference to me, right? It is what it is. All the artistry, all the time, all the cuts, all the edits, all the music interjections, all the beats that we love it. There's an expectation that it has to be good. But I watch trailers from other videographers that are so uneventful that I want to go to sleep. Now, obviously, I'm in the video world, was in the video world. I understand it probably a little bit more than most people. But the bride will send it to me and say, OMG, this is amazing. And I have to go back and say, OMG, fabulous, love it, great, whatever, right? But in my mind's eye, I'm saying, oh, this sucks. This is the worst piece of video I've ever seen in a very, very long time.
Especially when it's 1:30 and it's 10 shots in slow-mo.
But again, 2 weeks after the wedding, it's forgotten. That was her trailer. That was her piece. It's very uneventful. Boom. There are no awards to be won. There are no situations that allow us to, you know, become notoriously famous from doing a trailer. You know, oh, you could enter into some kind of competition.
Well,
That
can
is
we also
nothing.
say you're limited to how famous you can get or how big you can grow your business based on the followers you have anyway? So
Listen, you could shoot
you could create a masterpiece and no one could ever see
Alex,
it.
Alex, you could shoot a $2 million commercial today that lasts 30 seconds for I don't know, Colgate,
Hmm.
right? Or
Hmm.
for anything, for San Pellegrino water. I
Hmm.
could shoot a $2 million commercial, $2 million commercial. It
Yeah.
could be fabulous. I could put Ryan Gosling in it. I can put, Taylor Swift in the commercial. No one's going to care, and no one's going to ask, oh my God, who directed and produced that $2 million commercial with Taylor Swift throwing water all over Ryan Gosling, right?
But if it was good,
It's
industry, but hold on, if it was good,
it's
industry people
gone.
would
Yeah,
ask
but
that.
it's yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, but industry, but that would lead to more work for you though.
It
Industry
may
people
lead to
would,
more work. It
you
may
know.
lead to more work, and the industry may. So we're doing it basically for ourselves to lead to more work, to create something nice.
Yeah.
But you know what? What I'm always trying to get at is for me to sell you. I mean, I
Hmm.
can sell anything, in my opinion, because I believe in what I sell.
Hmm.
I'll just to tell people, look, I used to be a videographer. Alex is this, Alex is that. When they meet you, they're already excited. There's always going to work with you because I told them so, right?
I agree.
But if we have you, and then we have three other videographers, the second one being, as good as you, and the third one being not as good as you, but half the price, and they're all watching the recap, where is their mindset going to go? Is it going to say, well, this guy only charges like X amount of dollars. This is really within our budget. Looks good to me. Oh, it's not as good as the other one, but do we really need that, honey?
So,
I
so
don't know if we
here,
really need
so
that, honey. That is that kind of thing at any level of money, unless there is
but
some celebrity. I don't. Are there any celebrity videographers out there anymore? There used to
no,
be.
only the industry people like Ray Roman, for example, the guy.
Yeah,
But
but
there's
that's
an
only but that's only industry. And I've worked with Ray many times. I
yes,
like Ray.
yeah, yeah,
But are there any people that are celebrity videographers? I mean, there are some photographers that, demand a lot of money because they're become
sure.
the celebrity status, but photography carries a different kind of weight, right?
Well,
And there are
that's
photographers,
a whole other that. Let's
other
get to that
conversation.
later.
Won't even go on that one. Yeah. But
Let's get there
yeah,
later.
we'll get that list out there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
videography itself, how important is the wedding film compared to, what other
And
people are
Lewis,
doing? Beauty is
if
in the
you
eyes of the beholder, right?
but Lewis, if you shot Taylor Swift's wedding, it wouldn't be Alex Hopkins shooters. It'll be that's the guy. Oh, I think he shot Taylor Swift's wedding. They wouldn't even know who I am, right? Like it would be that's the guy that did that. But that's okay. But I think it's interesting you talk about this value proposition for video, right? And like if you have someone's as good as me, what separates? I am very lucky in this business. Like I don't have a massive Instagram following. I'll be honest, I'm pretty terrible at it. I probably shouldn't admit it. I make really, really nice, I think,
Maybe worse than me,
engaging.
Alex, but it's okay.
Well, yeah. Well, you've improved in the last year. I mean, listen, I've been
I've
sending you
been
shit for
slightly
years. Lewis,
improving, but
I'm like, Lewis, remember I used to write, Lewis, I made this 2-minute thing. It's really, really good. Like, and you probably lie to me, like you say, oh yeah, it's really good. It is good because I've seen other people's trailers and they're not very good. They're 10 slow-mo clips put together to the same song. Like I want to fall asleep. At least I try and make something engaging.
listen,
You know,
I guess for the veracity of this podcast, we can't go into those semantics now because we can't visually
no,
show this and try to tear it
of course,
apart. But
of course.
yes,
But let's
yeah.
just say I've been sending you shit for years ago. Lewis, I tagged you. I invited you as a collaborator. What are you doing? Like, but
Yeah,
contrary.
push a button and post it, right, Lewis?
But
Right,
the thing is,
exactly. Yeah.
but contrary, and I see some of my beautiful work coming. I wrote you every time I see one of your podcasts and you use some of my, I'm like, man, that looks awesome. That's so cool.
Right.
But I'm very lucky, and I think you're in the position, you've been in the industry long enough that you get a lot of jobs word of mouth. And I'm very fortunate. I have 3 planners that basically, I'm not saying you usually use me exclusively. You've got to do what a bride and groom do. But I'm very fortunate, being fairly new to this, being Australian, coming into this country to break into the industry. I had 3 planners that believed in me. Right? You're one of them, Gary's one of them. Like I had some planners that really said, this guy's better than what you want. He's perfect for you. He's going to die for you. He's going to love you and he's going to make you something beautiful. So word of mouth, right? Like has helped.
Oh, no. Word of mouth is always going to carry as the best form of advertising. People have listen, that is the entire concept behind the original review. right?
Yes.
A word of mouth is a review in person, right? And nothing is better than word of mouth. But that's what reviews started as, word of mouth. Other people using this vendor, this restaurant, this going to see that movie, oh, these guys liked it, so I probably like it too.
So,
Even though I think it's kind of stupid that we
but
take
here's my
someone's.
question on
Yeah.
that though, with the social media stuff, because we're talking about your social media presence until last year. I mean, can I swear, it's pretty shit. Like, so's mine. And now it's getting
No, it wasn't pretty shit. It was not existent.
is
Right?
non-existent. And I had all my high-end weddings
Okay, so
on
listen,
my
you know
bar
what's
mitzvah
funny?
price.
I did an event on Saturday, and obviously, did some social media over the past month, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some guy looked at me and he goes, "I know you." I said, "I'm Louis Avanti. How are you?" The guest, and he goes, "Oh, I know. I see you. I saw you on TikTok." And I went, "You did?" It was
Mm-hmm.
like one of those crazy moments, right? By the way,
Yeah.
speaking about content creators, Danny, that's part of my team. She's wonderful, Danny. She just texted me, and she goes, "Hey, Louis, I connected with one of the content creators that was with the band. She was nice enough to send over this link with a few clips from the room on Sunday. Have a great week." So
No, I
again,
love Danny.
we're
She's
like
amazing.
moving over
Yeah,
and
great.
like different kind of clips from different people, right? It's the same room. The room hasn't changed. It's the same stuff that I have. I'm sure it's very nice and everything, but at the end of the day, we're oversaturated with stuff. It's already Tuesday.
But
By tomorrow, this wedding is
everyone's
going
moved on. There's another wedding, but here's what I'm thinking. Here's the whole thing. We're all so obsessed out of fear. But I get all my jobs basically from 3 planners, recommendations. You get most. You know how many jobs I reckon I've got in 5 years, honestly, from social media? Most of my inquiries from social media, I'm just going to be honest, they don't want to pay my prices. They want,
Well, it's kind of funny because no high-end client is going to book anyone on social media. The only exception to that
maybe
is that it's
photo
a
if
high-end
they're
client is
obsessed.
looking. A high-end client is looking for inspiration on decor. So they
Okay,
will
sure.
always look at the most high-end designers,
Mm-hmm.
and because they have the money and they have the ability to work with them, they may actually work with them based on their social media. Everything else is absolutely ridiculous. As a planner, what am I going to post on social media? Pictures of flowers? I don't really do flowers. Pictures of, bride's dress? I don't really do the bride's dress. People smiling and laughing. Yes, I can do that. I can make you smile and laugh, but somebody else
Mm-hmm.
can, right? So I have the hardest job. You at least can post your work and say, "Look what I've taken from nothing, and I've created this beautiful film." Photographer goes, "Look how I photographed this bride. Look how I photographed." But I have clients that if I recommend them a client, and we're still in the conversation, I'll say, "By the way, I think, you guys really should look at ABC Floral." By the time I say the word C, and I'll say, I'll do an email introduction, the bride would automatically say, "No, it's okay. I'm on their Instagram already. You don't
Yeah,
need to."
yeah.
She's on there already, and she's telling me, "Well, they only have, 6,000 followers."
It's like, who
What do
cares?
you think?
I've got
And I'm
400.
saying, you're really going to quantify and qualify this person's ability to create what we're discussing based on the following? I know people that have 100,000 followers and they suck.
Look, Lewis, and I don't want to throw it, like, I've got a great team now. Over the last couple of years, I've got some fantastic shooters. Can I tell you that they're going to remain nameless, but my 2 favorite second shooters that work with me week in, week out, they all have 16,000 followers on their own Instagram account. I got 389 or something. And you know what? They're still shooting for me. And I've seen their films. They're good. Their films don't look like mine. They don't. They're shooting for me.
I know.
And they're
So
amazing.
listen, that's another conversation. I want to try
Like,
to
it's
bring this back
crazy.
to videography. So let's talk
But,
about.
but can we tie that? Can we tie that in a knot though? Like for
No,
maybe a soundbite though. Like, be careful of being, if you are a client out there, be careful,
absolutely.
because anyone can post a good photo. Now you can AI edit decor. You could be a decor person, go into what is it called, Gemini Banana, whatever it is, and go make this look higher end. Any video guy, so to tie it back into video, any video guy can give you their best minute. But do you know what? If you hire a video guy for a high-end wedding and you care, especially like a big Jewish ceremony, can you get a video guy that can make a dark hoopah look good on video? Good luck with that, because I reckon there's about 5 guys.
The clients don't know all the
They don't, but Lewis, this is where but you feel it when you see it and you relive it. So you can book someone off their 35 seconds of brilliance on Instagram, that is the biggest risk of your life if you're spending hundreds of thousands on a wedding. And that's why that's why planners exist, because planners know.
Exactly. That's why planners exist, and that's why we do what we do. But it's kind of funny how so much garbage is based on, what's Instagrammable and what exists out there.
And Lewis, not just video, but photo as well. You can even, they're going to remain nameless, some of the highest end guys that are charging 20 plus for photo. They post their best 5 weddings. Guess what? I shoot lots of weddings with them. Guess what? Not all the weddings make it on their Instagram. Sorry.
No,
Newsflash.
I know that.
You know what I mean?
That.
And so everyone, and it is, that's why I think planners are important. That's why trust is important. Word of mouth is important. And to tie in what we were talking about earlier, we're obsessed with this social media.
Message for whoever's listening to this, right? If you got to this point in the podcast and you're listening and it's a soundbite, you really got to trust the people you're working for, and you really trust the planners and who who they associate themselves with. Because there is so much garbage out there that can be diluted just by having more Instagram followers, just by people that don't know, are just posting reviews. There are so many
or
things.
Garbage that more dangerously, garbage that looks like gold.
Oh, I know.
Right?
Listen, I've had clients, message me, show me images on, send me a text message with inspiration photos for their wedding. And I have to text them back, and I'm saying, hate to tell you, this is AI. This wedding never existed. And this thing cannot be created because it doesn't exist. Right? And they'll look at me and they go, really? And I'm saying, but it has the name of the person. I said, no, that person put it on their Instagram because they're showing their AI capabilities that they want to create something like this, but this doesn't exist. It's not a real wedding.
Or even the non-AI. The biggest faux bullshit in the luxury world is these fucking people that, excuse my language, but I'm passionate about this.
Say fucking people.
These fucking people that do these editorials in Lake Como, and I'm seeing the most beautiful video ever. And I'm like, have you ever shot a real wedding day? When have I got an hour to put the bride and groom on a boat and get 4 different fucking angles? The photographer would kick me in the balls. I'd be kicked. I'd be dead.
Right.
And people think that, and the editors, but people think that's real. People think that's real. It's not a real wedding.
Everybody, if you don't know what an editorial is, okay? An editorial is when we take a phony bride and groom, we dress them up.
Very attractive, very debonair.
Of course, especially the female and, the guy too sometimes, and because they know what they're looking at, and put them in an expensive gown and take them to a place like Lake Como, or take them to New York City, or take them to Beverly Hills, and have them reenact all these great scenes from a wedding that never took place because they're not together, and just to create footage.
And no pressure. The real trick with photo and video at a wedding.
To shoot this. We got professional makeup art, professional lighting to create.
And we're talking about the garbage. We're talking about the garbage, Lewis.
So many editorials.
Yes.
Especially in decor. These rooms set up and everything looks so amazing. And I look at them, it's not a real wedding. Why do you say that? I said, well, look at the chairs. If I sit at that chair, I can't get out. Once I'm in, I'm stuck.
The most beautiful.
Going to get in and sit, right? There are so many different details only that a professional can look at. So what's the answer to all of this? Let's take all social media with a grain of salt when we look at actually for visuals like photography and videography. Maybe decor saves a little saving grace for decor there, but otherwise let's take it with a grain of salt. But I want to talk about now what's always on my mind. So I'll just ask you some quick questions, right? How long is your final film?
Great question. And the answer to that, and is one that actually is confusing to clients and also not to you because you're in video.
Well, it's confusing to me already because you haven't answered the question. But how long is your
I have
film?
to set it up, and confusing to planners. So the answer to that is it depends, because with video companies, with me, with everyone, everybody has, they're called deliverables, the films, right? So what is that? So for me.
Yeah, but I know you're going to tell me you're going to break up into speeches. You're going to break it up into this. You're going to break it up into ceremony. You're going to break up into that. But do you have in your videography the film of the wedding? Forget about all the small things that you can separate and re-edit in certain times, like speeches, etc. But if I were to say Alex Hopkins Studios, what is your final film?
So I have two products for my final film. It's not one because people want different things.
Tell me.
So when I got into the business and what I've been doing, really what I started with for the first couple of years was delivering what I call a 10 to 12 minute cinematic film, a love story film, right? that it's not necessarily in order. It uses the speeches, the vows, different parts of the day. And
So
it
it's a
tells a story.
12-minute montage of the wedding.
Well, yeah, but montage would be underselling it. It is a montage, but it's not, because it's not just
But it's
photos
not a
to music.
it's not a chronological story of the day.
Some of it, some it makes sense to do it in order. I generally do it in order. I generally do it in order.
10 to 12 minutes. How does that change as we move on?
So I always thought, like a lot of companies do the 5 minutes, that's not enough. So I created a 10 to 12 minute thing. Now, lately, and what I'm very happy about. Now, I did that because I thought that's what I was supposed to do, and that's what was cool. And then
you learned from a quote unquote modern version of what's
100%. 100%.
We're going to discuss this now, and I'm going to give you my train on it, which I have already, but I'm going to do it for an audience now.
Let me finish the second. So the second product. So I thought that's what I had to be. And then the longer I've done it, I'm like, man, these are beautiful. But is this now more about me and how clever I am? Is this really what people want to go back? Especially, let me qualify that every package I do, I make a 2-minute teaser. So I already summarized the day in 2 minutes a couple of weeks after the wedding.
That's fine. That's a trailer, and that's fine.
No, but sure. So if I'm already making that and they get all the cool shots anyway, lately I've been making what your old style films, what I would call a documentary edit, in the order of the day, with like the full first look, the full ceremony, the full speeches, the full entrances into first dance, with the audio. We're very good at audio, recording off the band, and then in between, like almost little montages of the in-between moments set to music between those full moments. And that film would be an hour and 15 minutes. And then sometimes I go around cocktail hour, which I love to do it with a microphone and interviews. So that film's going to be an hour and well over an hour and 10, hour and 20.
Now that to me is getting closer to what a wedding video should be.
I totally agree.
Right. So I always listen for years, and I'll take you back 10 years ago. When a client asked me, maybe 12 years ago, asked me to do a short form. Mm-hmm. And we were used to doing, an hour and a half, an hour and 45, an hour and 15, depending on the wedding. Just like Alex has said. And she goes, I want it to be, under 15 minutes. And I sat there saying, okay, so I can't use this. I got to cut 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 this. And it was the most horrible piece of junk, because I couldn't get everybody walking down the aisle. I couldn't get this going down. I couldn't get the officiant doing this. I couldn't do that. I had to cut the vows. I had to cut the part of the speech. I had to cut the pairing dances, because my time is so limited. I can't have you dance for 30 seconds too long. I got to cut it, because I got to do 6 more dances, right? And I still lost the whole effort of the wedding. So I applaud you for that. And as I was talking today, some people still do edits that are like, I'm going to tell a quick story, because I'm a storyteller.
Oh, really, Lewis? Oh, really?
A client came up to me, and she couldn't find a videographer. I mean, she was all over the fucking place. I recommended like 19 people, and she didn't like any of them. And she found a guy in Texas that actually shoots for the NFL. Okay. Mm-hmm. He does recaps at the NFL, and he was getting into, like, I guess, wedding films. And this guy came to the wedding. The wedding was at Gotham Hall in New York City, very high-end event.
Love it.
And
love that.
He throws his camera down, and the first dance is going on. And then I look over, he's not there anymore. I say, where the fuck did he go? So I find him like in the corner, like on his phone. And I'm saying, dude, the first dance is still going. He goes, no, I got enough. I'm good.
Yeah.
Then he, everything was like, no, I got enough. I got enough. I didn't hire him. I knew very little about his work. I tried talking to the guy. He was very nice. We talked about videography. We talked about images. He's a really super nice guy, right? There's nothing wrong with him. When the bride's mother got the final film, it was 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? So she called me. She goes, I got the film from the guy, but is this the whole film? I said, I don't really know, because your daughter and your husband dealt with them directly, right? Mm-hmm. So I finally got a hold of him. I called him up. I said, listen, I got a chance to look at your, film. It looked really, really nice. But just a stupid question. Is this the whole thing? And he goes, that's it, man. That's it. That's all they need. 2.5 minutes, the whole way. Nobody wants to sit and watch anything more than that.
What, Gotham Hall, 350,000, 400,000 later?
Right, and I'm
2.5 minute fucking film.
And I'm saying, but do you have the footage of her dancing with her dad? He goes, of
No.
course. I said, the whole thing? He goes, no, just like 10
No.
seconds of it.
Yeah.
Because the guy is used to shooting
Yeah.
football games.
For highlights. 100%.
So once the ball is, being thrown, he shows it being thrown, shown being caught or fumbled. This is the way he shoots, right? So he shot a wedding with the same kind of format as a quick
Lewis,
NFL Game 6 recap, right?
Lewis, I'm
Rather
sorry,
than
but half the guys shooting weddings in New York are doing exactly that, mate.
right? And I'm
And,
like, oh my God, what a travesty. And the mother was pissed and she goes, you should have won with
but
Lewis's
Lewis,
people.
this ties back to what. But this ties back to what we're saying. So what brides don't
You
realize
cannot do it, Alex. It cannot be done in 12 minutes.
Lewis, hold on. I'm not denying this, but this ties back into what we're saying. Do you know how amazing a 2-minute teaser I could make if I didn't have to worry about audio, didn't have to worry about shooting things? I'll get to the point. My point is I call it shooting with integrity, as in actually capturing the moments before getting fancy and wanking off and being like, look how clever I am in my lighting. I started in this business like you did. You've got to shoot things like the ceremony, dances, entrances in focus, with integrity, with audio. I don't care if you want to do drone footage. I don't care if you want to make it fancy. I think my films are as beautiful.
You need the meat and potatoes. You need
to get the meat and potatoes, and then you can add the caviar. There's a soundbite.
Exactly.
Meat and potatoes.
I agree with that, but
these people do this, Lewis. They don't. They shoot for the highlight. Now, Lewis, do you know how big I would be in the industry if I focused on social media and not the client and not doing what we're talking about you should do? If I just shot fancy and just shot little 30-second clips and put them together and did weird angles, and I spend most of my day as a lead shooter, I've got to make sure the audio's good. That's the one thing people forget about.
No, listen, I understand all that. But the purpose of this podcast, I think that people have to understand that people, maybe not you, I think you've, come out of, you're actually, doing something that's, in my opinion, very good. But what people are missing in this industry, especially in videography, it's a little bit of photography, but they forget their purpose, right? So as a videographer for many years and as a, a planner now, I don't forget the purpose. The purpose is you are there to document the wedding day. Absolutely. Because all the time spent and all the memories and all the things, this is the first time, actually this is going to be the only time, it's the first time, but only the last time that both of the families are all going to be in that room all at the same time, ever in your life. All your family, all your friends on both sides will be in the same. You'll have other parties, but not of this magnitude, right? And if you can't document that the right way, if you can't ask a grandmother who's 95 years old what her little granddaughter used to do at 5 years old and create that memory, if you don't, get a great solo of the band singing, if you don't have a great moment on the dance floor where people reacted to the music that they paid for, where you don't have shots of the food or shots of things that made up the entire wedding, not just the flowers, but all the small details.
I think some of the food, food is a little, job. Yeah, we disagree on food. Food, I think it depends on the client. I think
but I think you're wrong. It's not about the client. I think that everybody wants to remember things that they don't remember, right? Things 5 years from now, I'm not saying that you have to shoot, clams being shucked at a cocktail hour, right?
For the documentary, for the longer film, yes. For a highlight, no.
Not for a highlight. I'm talking about.
Oh, you're talking about a full film.
Oh,
sorry. Of course. Oh,
yeah, 90-minute film.
Oh, God, yeah.
I think you should have things because I think it makes it look and feel complete. You can always fast
100%.
forward it, right?
100%.
You're dancing with your. And then I found a lot of videographers, and you and I had this conversation once at a wedding, that their cameras are all at the wrong place. I see 3 videographers shooting the bride and her father dancing, or the bride and the groom and his mother dancing, or the bride and groom dancing, the whole time, all from 3 different angles. And I don't know if you know this, Alex, but I used to belong to a professional organization of videographers. It was called WEVA, Wedding Event Videographer Association. It was kind of big. We used to have like 6, 7, 8, 9,000 people in Vegas every year, right? And one of my things was I used to sit in a room with people, and people used to bring their work in for me to look at and critique. Right. And these people were like from Wisconsin. They were from Indiana. They were from like, Seattle. They didn't, it wasn't like the New York City, LA wedding world. And I would sit there and they'd show me these films. And the number one issue with all those films was there was too much bride and groom.
Yep.
And I would say to them, I go, okay, too much bride and groom. And in my seminars, when I used to do videography, I would say, who's the film for? And the whole room would say, the bride and groom. So who should you be shooting?
Other
The bride
people.
and groom. No, the opposite.
So I remember you. So you actually told me that story about a year ago,
It's
and
too much bride and
and-
groom. It should be
and
about,
so-
they want to see everybody else. They know what they look like.
so it's this is a really excellent observation. Before you said that to me about a year ago, and listen, I'd had success. I'd done great stuff. I have great clients. Everyone, all the video guys in the industry are trying to match like the photo guys, right? Which is what it's become. And I think that's where it came from. Everyone's like, let's make beautiful editorial kind of like old fashioned stuff. And the thing is, now a couple of those shots are important, but so I had a bride. So to prove your point, I'm going to prove your point. I shot this big Orthodox wedding a couple of months ago. I delivered what I thought was one of the greatest 12-minute highlight films ever, right? And she's like, she wrote back and said, oh, this is amazing. I love it. And I'm very lucky. I'm going to tell you, Lewis, in 5 years, I very rarely had a revision, which is crazy. But this particular bride goes, love it. I mean, the footage is amazing. It's so beautiful. But I mean, you got so much stuff of us in the gardens and shit. And like, it's so beautiful. But like, can you do, and I've never had a bride say this, but she's like, the more religious elements and some more ceremony elements and people, can you maybe take some of the shit out of us and put more of that in? And you know what? Instead of reacting defensively, I was like, absolutely. Right. And you know what? And it reminded me of that conversation you had. And I started interviewing. I started going back. Now, no one told me. I know you said you were doing it back in the 80s or 90s, you know, back before I was born, Lewis. No, I'm kidding. So no, really, not quite. Really, but yeah. No, but the truth is, like, yes, it's an extra task, but going around cocktail hour, instead of shooting people eating, because you don't know what to do, you know what's great? Grabbing a mic and interviewing people and having 20 people say, and you really, like, I've been fortunate, I think, and I think you think my work's okay, but you've been a big part of that. Like those sort of stories, like you've been a mentor to me, like Alex. Now we don't always agree. You're like, Alex, just set a 3-shot. You know, when the speaker sits next to the bride and groom, you're like, just shoot as a 3 and I want one tight. And you're like, Alex, you don't need to. You know what? I disagree with you. I've come around to that now. You don't need it. Get more reactions, just one camera, 3-shot. Now, I don't love that way they do that. I always think the speaker should be on the dance floor with the bride and groom looking at them. But the 3-shot, whatever. However, it's not my choice. I'll shoot.
Then you only have 2 people. You have the guy speaking and their reaction. The guy's people and their reaction. It's kind of boring.
Well, except it's dramatic in the room, though. From a room perspective, I know I'm not the planner, but you know I was an entertainer my whole life with Disney. I played piano all over the world.
Right.
I was an actor.
You're not a planner, you're an entertainer, all that. But you know,
I see that
to the audience.
But I agree. But having someone having the bride and groom doing this to the speaker, it's much cooler having everyone.
No. I'm not worried about that either.
You know,
but
anyway,
that's about placement.
I'm getting distracted by that. But I'm saying, like, you were like, hey, if it does happen to have the 2 bride and groom and the speakers, I used to want to shoot that with too many cameras. And you know what? I'd go home and go, Lewis was right. It just needs a 3-shot. And guess what? Then I can shoot more reactions with my other cameras and cool stuff, you know? And like, but there's things like that, but you definitely, I agree with you but this, it kind of ties into this whole theme of what we've been talking about with everything, that everything's become a little disillusioned.
Alex, at the end of the day, you have to remember who your audience is, right?
Yes.
So if your audience is primarily the bride and groom and the family, and the bride and groom are doing their first dance, which is going to happen at almost every wedding, right? While they're doing their first dance, 10 seconds, 15 seconds of them is more than enough. Let's look at reaction of the parents. Let's get a reaction of the wedding party. Let's look at a reaction of the band who's singing. Because when they're watching this, they want to see what everybody else is doing. You could only look at yourself twirling on a dance floor only so long.
I disagree with that, especially now that half the weddings I shoot, 80% of the weddings I shoot, the bride and groom have rehearsed their dance, and they specifically ask me on calls.
So even if you get a rehearsal dance, you still should get reactions with the other camera.
Sure, but I've got to. I mean, listen, there's, by the way, depending on budget, there's only so much you can do with 2 video guys. Let me clarify that too. You might disagree with 2 video guys. I always love having a wide and a tight, and the wide gets the reactions and people clapping behind the bride and groom.
That's fine too. As long as you get get those reactions, that's fine.
I am more afraid when a bride and groom have spent months rehearsing their dance and they've specifically said, this is important to me. I will keep it on the bride and groom. Listen, if I have an assistant with a third camera and I have the budget, which I wish I did, oh my God, 100%. But if I've only got 2 guys, which is most of my weddings budgets.
But remember, Alex, at the end of the day, you could only look at one camera at a time. So when you are editing and the visual is created, the final edit is created, there's only one image that is shown.
Agreed.
Right? You can shoot it with 16 cameras. There's in the videographer in the Russian wedding world, and this guy was like ridiculous. This guy would bring 6 cameras to a wedding, right?
Yeah.
And it was his fear of missing something.
Yeah. I mean, we do that too for ceremonies. Right. Yeah.
Well, fear of missing something, right?
Yeah. 100%.
And I would tell him all the time, I say, dude, major motion picture is shot with one camera. Okay? So your primary camera is your camera. Everything else is just what they call cutaways or, just inserts. But when you're looking at a film of a wedding, you could only look at one thing at a time. Mm-hmm. You can't look at multiple things happening, right? So you create the experience when you're watching the film. Mm-hmm. So the more reactions you have, the better the film is. Yes, they're twirling, they're doing their first dance, they're looking at each other, but also the singer performing the first dance. A close-up, of people looking at the first dance. They're not looking at that first choreographed dance and everything they did. It's only can last so long that she turns, she moves. They're not performing for Dancing with the Stars. They're performing for the room and among themselves. But at the end of the day, they want to see the reactions of people reacting to what they're doing, right? And we always forget that when you create that film, even if you have 9 cameras, you can only watch one camera at a time. It's like when they used to do these, not the drone shots, but they used to bring jib arms in, and these beautiful.
What you mean? They still do. All the Russian weddings have that. The
cranes. The cranes.
Cranes, mate.
Right. And I'm saying, what do you do? They shoot the whole wedding from the crane. Yeah. So the whole wedding is shot from above, right? Yeah. And people just dancing with their heads going up and down. And it's like the worst video on the planet, right?
Oh my God.
I from an angle that's unnatural in life. Nobody sees that point of view.
Dougie always like, Alex, I'm thinking, what do you got coming up? Doug is like, you want me to get my crane guy for you? I'm like, no, because I want to see people's fucking faces.
I don't want to see people's heads.
Yeah, I want to see people's faces.
But what we call that is an unnatural angle. It's not an angle that anybody sees ever at a wedding.
Oh, it's an establishing angle. It's an establishing angle to start a sequence once for 2 seconds.
And so, Alex, let me ask you something. Tell me the worst client you've ever had.
My worst client. Can I?
Yeah.
So
no names, of course.
So I was thinking about that. I'm very lucky, and I think honestly, it's no, Lewis. No, I got to tell you, can I change that to someone who will remain nameless, the worst planner that I ever worked with, because it was worse than the client.
Yeah, you could do.
It was the worst experience. It was the worst experience.
Planner was fine.
Yeah, so listen, I think it's partially because I'm Australian and I'm fun. I generally vibe with the client. Like, I don't, honestly. I think they're like, oh yeah, he might be a douche, but he's Australian, so they forgive me. I don't know. I wish I could tell you that I've had issues with clients. I haven't.
No, I'm not asking you to find an issue with the client.
So no, but I haven't had.
That's not the question.
But I've also
is that
a horror story or something.
At one point or another encounters a difficult client, right? And I'm not looking for a horror story.
Yeah.
But I'll take the planner story as well. Because the ability to be a professional in this industry is not only how it's all peaches and cream, but it's also how to handle situations that are not right and how you handle them. So that's the reason for the question. It's not to look at each other and laugh at the stupidity.
So here is.
Tell me about your bad planner. I'll take that one.
But before that, with the client, I think the reason I've had good client experiences ties back to what we said earlier, which was that I get a lot of my jobs from planners. But Lewis, so you prepare
but the
me.
reason you also have good client experiences because you're a good guy and you haven't had that many clients under your belt yet, right?
Yeah, sure. I haven't had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds
clients. Something is going to happen just by law of numbers. But tell me about your planner situation.
100%. So we did a wedding a few months ago. It was beautiful, very high end. I'd never worked with this planner. I'd been recommended. And the contract was with the planner, not the client. So I made the contract with the planner for this wedding. I went for a meet and greet, and this photographer at the meet and greet at the venue, I love. By the way, it's such a tragedy because it was one of my favorite couples ever and clients and family. And this photographer pulls me aside as we're leaving the meet and greet and goes, by the way, this planner is a nightmare. I've worked with her for 30 years. She may kick you out of the wedding. She will abuse you. She's been abusing me for years. And I said, why do you work with her then? And she goes, oh, she gets me work. And I said, just be careful.
Oh,
If
fuck
this
that.
planner, no. So I said, no, I said, if this planner, mate, I went to law school. I'm an educated guy. I do this because I love it. I'm not doing this for the money. I like getting paid and what I'm worth. I could be a millionaire being a lawyer. I love what I do. And I'm not going to take shit from anyone. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
I'll go play golf. I'm not going to do it. So anyway, I said, well, she's going to be in. So the wedding day is going fine. No problem at all. It's a big venue. So I bought an assistant. In the contract, 2 videographers and an assistant, all signed off by the planner. We then, no problem. We do the entrance. By the way, she has 4 photographers, 4, 1 for decor and 3 photographers, all in the middle of the dance floor. Like, and we track in, like I have my guy behind me there. He sweeps around and we're not even in the way compared with these photographers. Out of the corner of my eye, this planner in the middle of this beautiful tent, like stunning, like literally assaults my second shooter, like grabs him, rips him in front of everyone out. And I go to the back of so I stayed and kept shooting, going, what's happened? And I have the nicer shooters. You've met my team. They're so nice, so professional. And anyway, I get out of the tent and said, what is going on? And this plan is like, I never agreed. You guys are in the way. You ruined the moment. And I said, what about the 4 photographers that were actually in the way? I said, like, and what do you mean? Like the photographers got their shots. Like they did this whole rehearsed entrance into this rehearsed first dance that they asked me to capture. And I'm not in the way. I'm right against the side. We're not even circling them. So anyway, this planner, Lewis, man, she then got security and said, your team's got to leave. I never agreed for a shooter and an assistant. You brought all these people. This client doesn't even care about video. I didn't know. And I said, well, you could have told me this in all our meetings and everything like that. So the security escorted my innocent second and assistant off the property. And then she continued to abuse me and say I had to stay. And I said, well, you're in breach of contract. I can't do this. Like we still have 2 hours of the wedding to go. And like, dude, it was the craziest thing ever. I defended my team. I told them to leave. And then I didn't call you, but I called another planner to say, what should I do here? I've never been in this situation. And luckily the planner picked up and she said, listen, just finish the wedding. It's not about the family. It's not about the planner. It's about the family. And so I finished the wedding, but what was so disappointing was the way
the right thing to do was to finish the wedding and forget about the planner, because then if you don't finish the wedding, then she would hold that over your head also. So it's your word against hers. Right?
Well, I mean, it was so bad, Lewis. I can't even tell you that I wouldn't have cared. I would have just quit it was that bad. Anyway, so fast forward, she then has security tailing me the whole time. And then as soon as the cake cutting was done, so she'd asked me to stay and I'd relented and stayed.
Why did she have security tailing you? You're just shooting a wedding. You're not going to have a...
Look at me.
I know. Sit there with a...
I love the family. And wait for this, though. Lewis, wait for this, though. As soon as the cake cutting finishes, the minute the cake cutting was over, security escorts me out of the tent and said, she'd like you to leave now. You got to leave the property within 10 minutes. So she got what we want. Anyway, fast forward, family... So I made a decision. God, did I want to do it? God, did I want to do it? Because I knew the bride and groom loved me and I love them. I made a decision then and there, and I think other people may not have made that decision. And usually the old me, without your influence and people, hot-headed me, probably would have gone up and spoken to the couple or the parents. I made a decision to not do that. And in hindsight, it was the correct decision to just do my job. But I'm sure they could see something was up because, I also got banned from the tent. I wasn't allowed to shoot the speeches from in the tent. So I had to shoot from outside the tent through people for the speeches.
At the end of the day, who was she punishing? You or the couple?
She was punishing the client, but I was warned and I didn't believe this photographer. So really...
So she punished the couple.
Yep.
Because she didn't read her contract, or, I mean, at the end of the day, why would she do that? That's so unprofessional of her.
Lewis, it was the craziest thing. Even my shooters who've shot hundreds of weddings were like, I've never seen anything like it. She had all her team scared. She's a monster, an absolute monster. In conclusion, and when you said, have I had a shocking client? What was so disappointing about this is that I did everything to protect the client and still shot with integrity to the best of my ability. And that client, they never really apologized. Listen, I sent an email on Monday. By the way, on Monday, I get an email at 9 a.m. from this planner. Thank you so much for all your hard work. Like, we're talking, this was a drama. I am not exaggerating how big a drama this was. Planner writes on Monday, thank you so much for your excellent work. We can't wait. When should we be expecting the footage? And I felt like writing back, check your fucking contract. Not only did it say how many fucking shooters, it also told you the delivery schedule for the films. I never want to talk to you again.
She sent you, it's probably an automatic letter that goes out.
No. It was very specific, and it was very specific and included it was very specific, Lewis.
Well,
anyway,
you're talking about a planner, obviously, that has some issues. Yeah. Maybe she had,
Mate, she does big, let's just put it this way, massive weddings. But you know what's funny? I couldn't believe it. And the client, I wrote the client behind closed doors. I wrote the parents, not the couple. I said, listen, I don't know what you were told. All I can say is I gave you all of my love and everything I could have done. And you know what's funny? The mum wrote me back and said, we loved you. We didn't even know what was going on. So the planner hadn't even, because the planner was telling me
the
mum
end
wants
of the day, you're never going to know the true story because the planner's not going to tell her the true story. I don't know what pissed her off or what set her off or whatever it is. But
she just didn't like, she wanted to bully me. She wanted to bully. Yeah. But you know what?
It's a stupid situation to be put in because at the end of the day, she forgets who she's working for and the benefit of who she's working for.
And Lewis, you would admit, like, I might be crazy at times, I might be super passionate, but man, I care. I care about the product for the client, and it's not about me. So yeah, that was
Alex,
a shocking.
I love how you call yourself super passionate.
Well, is that an understatement?
That's good terminology, right?
Well, I mean, we should be
running all over the place and jumping all over the place, right? So.
Listen, it depends on the client. Some clients require a little pep. Some clients, you'd be surprised, working with these people and brides, they don't feel comfortable.
I've learned over the years that you just have to be who you are, and you can't be someone you're not. Otherwise, it just doesn't pay to do what we do.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree. It's
listen. I think the takeaway from this entire conversation is, you can hire a content creator. You don't need a content creator if you have a great videographer is number one. But
agreed.
Do what you want to do. We just love to know about it. And we have to have that person understand that their only job is very limited to what he or she has to produce for you because you do have a professional there.
Mm-hmm.
And your video really cannot live in the 6 to 12 minute mark at the end of the day because you won't have a video of your wedding. You're going to have a recap of your wedding. And if that's the case, just hire the content creator. Do not hire a videographer.
Well, hold on a second. I don't agree with that. I still think some people don't want that full thing. I don't think
it's what people want at the end of the day, Alex. I think it's what you deserve to do as a videographer. You see, I think there's a misunderstanding of what people want because people don't know. There are always two sides of a story. Look, I can sell it two ways now. I can say, oh my God, 6 minutes is more than enough. You just want the highlights. I mean, you were there, you know what happened, and it's great to look at it. And no one's going to sit through anything longer than that. So if you want anybody to watch it, it should be 6 minutes long. That's one argument. Second argument, how could you do it in 6 minutes? You're going to cut all this stuff out. Why even have a videographer? So both arguments work for different reasons. I think that people today have been told that they don't need it for whatever stupid concept there is, of like boredom or it takes too long. Just fast forward it. I mean, you'll have no memory of the actual wedding and you're going to hate yourself in the future. Sure. That's my take on it.
But my clarification is, where I disagree with you though, is having someone, none of these iPhones can shoot the decor. I'm sorry, not to get technical. None of these things can shoot it properly.
They don't have the range of.
They don't have the range, especially in low light. Right. Especially in low light. And every wedding from 5 p.m., 6 p.m. on is low light. The technology of the iPhone or whatever the phones are going to be in time. It's good in daylight. It's pretty good in daylight.
Whatever they are, they're very good, but it's not made for that medium, right?
So, but I just want to clarify. I still think having a videographer, if I'm in agreement with you. I totally agree with you that we should be making proper wedding films. But for the people that are influenced by the industry and the coolness or brides that want that, having a videographer, I'm sorry, to create 6 to 8 minutes is still better than having a content creator.
But they should be educated.
Oh,
So
100%.
I educate all my couples. If anybody wants to do it, they're not educated. They should really talk about it and listen to it.
Yeah.
They can, you know, um, message me. You
Do you
can
remember
call
our
me.
call, Lewis? Do you remember the call we were on? And I got up. I opened a window with my delivery page. You saw us last week. We had a call, and I said, "This is what I think you should have, a documentary film, and this is the alternative." So I show them and educate
Right.
them,
But a
right?
lot of girls are going to do what the industry does as a
Yeah,
norm, and they're making very big mistakes. I compare this when I had a conversation with a photographer. I said, "How many pictures do you take at a wedding?" They go, "About 800." I said, "Fantastic." I said, "So let's say you only gave them 75 photos. Would that be okay?" And he goes, "No, 75 photos. I'm going to miss half the photos." I said, "That's what you're
yeah.
doing in videography.
I
You're going to
I'm
give them 75 photos of
mate,
the entire wedding, not 800. And you are going to then, at the end of the day, come back with
yeah.
with a product that is not really
Lewis,
reflective of what you think
I'm a
you're supposed to
convert,
pay
mate.
for."
I am converted. I got into this business thinking I'd make these sexy, awesome 6-minute cinematic
It's
things.
not
And
that
you know what?
industry.
It's not, Lewis, you know what though? Everyone getting into it, I'm telling you, because they shoot for me. And I thought that's what I had to be. And no offense to Ray Roman, that's what Ray Roman does, mate. Ray Roman introduced that shit.
Right. But we discussed this like 2 years ago, you and I, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And I was telling you how long they were.
yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, that's very old school." I said, "But that is actually the coverage that's
I
needed for a 10-hour day,
Lewis,
right?"
I agree, but we're talking about industry titans like Ray Roman, Runaway Films. They don't even make 10 minutes, mate. Their films are 6 minutes, mate, 5 minutes.
And there's no reason you can't do a 6-minute great film, but that's not a film.
I
So
am not, I'm not in disagreement.
it's not a film. They lose perspective of what their job really is. Their job, number one, of a videographer or a photographer, is to document the
Human
wedding day.
day.
When you
And the
start
people therein.
eliminating key elements of the wedding day just for the idea of, I guess, eventual boredom, or I don't, I still don't understand the reasoning behind it. It doesn't make it better. It doesn't make it, definitely makes it worse, but not better. I understand the artistry of making a short, great film, but you have to have the other things in there because you can't go back and do it again next
But,
year.
and Lewis, but
You
guess what the
can't you
answer,
can't go back
get,
and do it again next year.
Lewis,
There are elements that are lost are lost.
Lewis, guess what the answer to this whole question is? Just book my full package and get the
Exactly.
teaser, get the highlight film. Lewis, the last 3 weddings I've done, they wanted everything. They love my work. Ruthie's what, like for Ruthie, I've got a teaser, for beautiful Julia. I'm making a full day documentary at an hour and 10, hour and 20, depending on how long the speeches are. And then they're also getting like an 8 to 10 minute cinematic highlight. So then they've got something digestible and a romantic film and the whole day. So why don't, listen, if you're spending 350 grand on a wedding, you should spend a lot on
But
video.
it doesn't make a difference what you're spending on the wedding. Even if you're spending $75,000 on a wedding or $50,000 on a wedding, the budget of the wedding has nothing to do with the fact that, listen, there are people that spend $500,000, they still want a 6-minute film because that's what they told exists.
So
And the
I
industry
so
has to understand that the end of the day, it's not about, what you're spending on your wedding, is what the reasoning behind videography is.
and our
Videography is a
yeah,
documentary of the wedding.
I
The
agree.
fact that it could be turned into an art form and a shorter version is fine. But if you're going to miss the elements
Yeah.
of what happened on the wedding day, look, I have old films here from the 90s, early 2000s, etc. And it's funny when I get a chance to look at them, I clean them out and so on. The things that I see that are so funny are what people are wearing at the wedding,
Yeah,
the
totally.
different hairstyles,
Yeah,
the music that's being played at the wedding, right?
100%.
If you're obviously looking at a wedding that took place in the 90s or the 80s, or maybe not, I forget the 80s, but 90s or early 2000s, right? 10 to 20 years ago, 25 years ago, the music that's played is the music of the times, right? And it's like
Well,
listening to
except for
throwbacks.
we talk about this, being a musician. We said
It's
this the other day.
great.
I said you almost feel like you're at a '90s wedding now because it's ABBA and Journey being played. But you said back then they were
Correct,
playing stuff from
correct,
30 years ago. They were playing
correct.
Beatles and shit, right? It's
You know what's
always
really
like,
popular now? My son came up to me and he goes, you have an old camcorder? I said, "What do you mean an old camcorder?"
oh, don't
So I had
even.
an old camcorder in my basement, an old Toshiba, like flip out like this with the little screen,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
He goes, "Can
yeah.
I have it?" I said, "Yeah, I mean, you got to find batteries for it." "Oh, I can get batteries online." I
Mm,
said, "It takes high 8 tapes, little tapes that go in there. He goes, I love it. He goes, I said, what are you doing with this? He goes, oh, it's the coolest thing now is to shoot like,
Oh my God,
80s,
Lewis,
80s
how
style
long,
video. He
Lewis,
goes,
how long's your podcast, mate?
he goes, can I keep
Oh,
the date on it? Can I put the date on it
oh my
blinking
God, Lewis, are
and
we
the
going?
time? And I'm
Lewis, are we
saying,
going to part two? So Julian Ribbinet, like we talk about everyone now, and they pay a premium for Super 8 and for this. Look, this is a whole other podcast. And Julian, and film.
the level of stupidity in that
Lewis,
is
every photographer,
mind-boggling.
Lewis, every photographer now, they've got their 2 cameras on their thing in the holsters, and then they've got a little film camera, Fuji around the neck. And it's like, let's move on. Let's move on. You always talk about speed. Here, I've got this camera. I've got my lens. Wait. Film. Wait for film. Hold for film.
They don't know how to shoot film.
Mate, do you know how good film emulation is now? You know what? And Lewis,
they don't know how to shoot
Lewis,
film.
But hold on a second.
Hold on a second. Seeing what they got.
Lewis, but wait. Here is the clutch. And I think Julian said it. Me and Julian, when we went to that industry event, we're talking. Guess what? People shoot on film, and then they deliver it digitally. So if you're not delivering it in film, you're digitizing it anyway. So just shoot digital. Let's get on with it, and then find a photographer that has a film style or looks.
Everything old is becoming new because there's nothing new that's fun.
Oh my God, Lewis!
Nothing
I
new
get
that's
the
fun.
cool, Lewis. I get the cool look, but there's ways of doing it in post now where you don't like.
I know where you're coming
crazy.
from, but again,
my
these are
Lord.
all trends that are coming and going,
Lewis,
and going.
I think I could
Different
charge
ways for
$10,000
different
more
people-
if I turn up with a
different ways for-
camcorder.
different ways for different people to make money. I'm definitely going to see a couple of guys in super tight pants with pro heads on, and a long sleeve T-shirt, at a wedding with camcorders,
Lewis,
shooting it all,
I
camcorders,
reckon
right?
I'm not going to have a choice. I reckon when we do the PNXG or something, I reckon I'm coming with a camcorder, mate. Like I'm
come
coming with a camcorder
and sell it for an extra $3,000.
I'll wear a helmet, Lewis. I'll have a cool helmet, like a fedora with a little strap. Instead of a GoPro, I'll have a friggin' camcorder from the 70s, which is grainy, which is going to be grainy footage, and you will not even recognize grandma.
But if you go on Amazon now, you can buy the camcorder.
Yeah, $70,
it looks like
right?
a digital camcorder. It's $300. A company.
Oh, it's $300. I thought you could get them cheaper. Wow. Or Timu. Maybe it looks, Lewis.
But it's not a real camcorder because it's digital technology, but it looks
course.
like a camcorder.
This is the whole thing that, dude, don't.
I still own a tube camera.
Oh,
let's fire it up and let's shoot with tubes, right?
Yeah, can I borrow your tube camera? Because then that'll at least have integrity. It won't be fake film.
Right.
It won't be
I'll give
fake
you my
shit.
Tube camera, right? All right, listen, this has been an amazing
Sorry,
conversation.
I feel like I'm not being mean to brides. Can I just clarify? I'm not being mean to brides, but stop giving into fads. My wedding photos, Lewis, I had all these filters put on. This is only 10 years ago. Guess what? I look back and go, oh my God, what was I thinking choosing this photographer? Like, clean. Do you know what lasts? Do you know what lasts 30 years? Clean.
Look,
how it looks on the day. What?
I
Yes.
have a mug with brides
Yes.
on it.
So what? Yeah. There's a clean photo. So what it looks like on the day. This is to bride and grooms out there. What you think is cool now and what you love now is I'm a different person than I was I'm a different person after this podcast with Lewis. You know what I'm saying? we all change. So what you think is cool now, you are going to look back now. It might be cute for the first 2 minutes to go, geez, how tacky we were.
Correct,
But it's not cute forever.
Exactly. And quality, good composition, great audio will never go out of style.
It won't.
How about,
and
you remember a couple of years ago, I want to say not too long ago, maybe right post-COVID, what was very cool about these photographers going out, they wanted blurry photos.
Oh, Lewis, can we talk about that? So, Lewis, what's the point of Lewis, hold on a second. We're talking about photography, right? And photographers, let's just put a bow on this, get paid probably double what video guys do in the high end, generally speaking. Hold on.
Of course.
What is the purpose of shooting a blurry photo in photo? What is the design of a blurry photo? What?
There's no purpose at all.
No.
To have something different.
But there is a purpose to blurry photos. To show what?
Mistake?
No. Yes. That's just a given. It's stupid. But guess what the blurry photo is? It's to show movement. So if you're going to show movement in a photo, hire a great videographer that actually has the movement. I am seeing $25,000 photographers with blurry photos, and I'm like, you could have just put $7,000 of that towards me, or $8,000, $10,000.
Let me tell you something.
I'm like, what are you thinking?
In a blurry photo, again, if they lose the, what's the word? they lose the understanding of where art transcends, vision, right? You're gonna have vision there in the blurry photo of the bride and groom running. Oh, great photo of us. Okay, that's one, but that's it. You
One,
can't
I
do
agree.
that.
One.
You can't do your whole
Yeah.
thing where I'm a specialist in blurry
Yeah.
photos, or this is out of focus, or
Yeah. Yeah.
everything looks distorted. At the end of the day, you want to go and look at something very pretty,
Oh,
right?
Lewis, let's like I had this argument with my second photo on the weekend who loves shooting wide open, and I'm like, for these technical for the non-industry people, for the photographers out there, sorry, you should not be shooting invitations at f1.8 because guess what? Do you see how many photos and videos I see from video guys use more light and shoot at stop down f5.6 because I know this is more technical now. If you've got an
No, it
invitation,
is
you've
more
got to see it,
technical.
but you've got to see it. You like we've got to the point now, and it ties into the blurry photo. It's like, guys, what do we say? Potato first, bolt,
No,
nuts,
no,
and then
right after the
caviar.
first and everything, but it's always been dogma.
Oh,
People don't
bro.
understand
Blurry
the art
photos,
form.
out of focus photos, maybe one.
Stupid shit.
It's not talent. I don't think it's talent. I
No,
think it's laziness.
It's stupidity. It's stupidity. All right, Alex, thank you
All
so
right.
much.
We got a little fired up at the end.
Alex Hopkins Studio. You can find them on Instagram.
Yeah, so Alex Hopkins
and-
Studios is my my like corporate and like everything. And Alex Hopkins Weddings is my my weddings Insta.
Right.
At Alex Hopkins Weddings, because a smart
we
planner
didn't talk
said
about Alex, but Alex, I said he went to law school. He's also an amazing singer, an amazing musician, Alex, and he's a great golfer. So Alex has a lot of good qualities, but apart from being a very amazing videographer and a handsome Australian. Thank you, Alex.
Lewis, I love you. And
you soon,
honestly,
my brother.
and guys out there with Lewis, I'm glad he's doing this podcast because he's one guy that's just not full of shit. There's so much bullshit in this business. And who am I, this new Aussie, American citizen now, but to say this, but I don't want to be in this business for the bullshit. And someone like Lewis tells it how it is. You saw on this podcast, we don't agree, but Lewis is not going to not hire me because I'm like, Lewis, I disagree with you about that first dance.
Right,
He is
exactly,
real. And he has helped me so much. And this business ultimately is about relationships and trust.
All about relationships.
But genuine relationships, Lewis. So I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. And thank you for believing in me, mate. Because hopefully I've repaid that and I'll continue to repay you over the years with good work,
That was easy to believe in you, Alex. Thank you, everyone.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.